Hi everyone, this is Corrie. Today I'm going to show you how to put this Easter shaker cake topper together. I'm in Design Space and I've gone into Upload on the left hand side, and then I'm just going to find the file which I have on my desktop. I'm going to be using the SVG, and then click Upload. Then click on it again and then add to canvas. Okay, now the first thing you want to do is go over to Ungroup, and then you can start to move pieces away. I actually included 4 circles like this, but you can cut as few as you want. We're going to use card for this cut. But you could use foam, and then you might need, the craft foam, then you might need less of the circles. But I'll explain more as we go through the tutorial. You can just see how things are going to sit together here. If we just take them apart, you've got a front and a back. And the 2 grey circles here at the back, those are for acetate. Okay. So I'm just going to click Make It and choose my materials. Okay, so I've got everything cut now, and this is the finished version of the cake topper. This is one I made about a year ago. I don't have the exact same colours, but they're very similar. So there's a lot of pieces to this, so I'll try and go through it slowly. I'm going to be using this Beacon 3-in-1 for most of it. We're going to start on these sort of, I call them the main pieces, pieces that can be put together first and then set aside to dry. So like the bunny, the Easter and the butterfly. As you can see on this version, I used a lot of double-sided foam tape. I really wanted like a 3D effect for the one that I made. With this one, I'll still be using some double-sided foam tape and some foam dots, but maybe not quite the same amount. So here's the foam tape and the foam dots. As I said, I'll be using this Beacon 3-in-1 as well. So I'm going to start with the bunny. So I'm basically gluing the glitter part onto the yellow and leaving that lovely outline around the edge. And then for the next layer, I'm going to use this double-sided foam tape. Again, just placing the center, leaving that outline effect. And there's the bunny ready. Okay, next I'm going to work on Easter. Let me just get all the pieces together. So for the front area, I've used, it's like a gold holographic cardstock. Because it's quite thin, I'm going to use some Zig 2-way glue. It's almost like a felt tip pen. It's really handy for sort of delicate areas. And then I'm going to use the beacon on the next layer and then the foam tape again. I like to use these spare bits in between the circles as well. Okay, so that's Easter done. And then I'm going to do the eggs. Again, glue, and for the eggs themselves, I'm going to use the foam dots and tape. next I'm going to do the butterflies, and I like to sort of bend them just slightly in the middle. You can use your scoring stylus from your Cricut if you've got one, and just run along a ruler like that, just in the center, just to bend them. Obviously this is optional, you don't have to do this. I just think it gives quite a nice 3D effect on the topper. So again, just attaching all those different layers together with some Beacon 3-in-1 glue. Just bending it slightly. There we go. Okay, so that's basically the front parts, if you will, the areas that are going to sit right at the front of the design. So next we'll take a look at the actual front area of the cake topper and just try and get the layers in place. So basically what you're wanting to do is there's like a little line around the outside, like an outline or an offset. Okay, so now I've got everything in place. I'm going to start with the grass, and I'm going to use this foam tape to just give it a slightly 3D effect. Okay. Next, I'm going to glue these areas all together using my Beacon 3-in-1. Okay, so when you get to the pink, you want to make sure that it's aligned with that circle in the center there. And then we're going to put there's like a ring. I've made it gold. And I'm going to put that again exactly on that line in the center. Okay, so this is the front complete for now, before we put all of the bunny and the Easter and the eggs and everything in place. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to add the acetate for the front section. To do this, I like to use like a double-sided tape. This is my acetate. You can see where it's going to sit. So this is my double-sided tape, and I'm just going to go around this edge. I have used glue before, but I found that one glue actually sort of damaged the acetate, and I didn't like that. So I find this double-sided tape great because it's flexible, so you can bend it round things that are circular or maybe an odd shape. So if we just go around the edge like this and flatten it down, you can place it on top and see exactly where it's going to go. I'm going to go straight across that bottom. I don't need to do a full circle. If you did the full circle, obviously you'd have to add more of the beads and the filling for the shaker for them to show. So this is a good way of cutting down how heavy the cake topper will be. Okay, so just adding the acetate, and then we're going to move on to the area that will hold the beads or sequins or whatever you would like to put inside. For this one, I've included 4 4 of these rings, I believe, I put on the design. And I've cut them in card today. And if you glue them together, you can see how thick they're going to be. You could also use, this is craft foam. If you cut craft foam, flex foam setting for the Cricut is a good one. You can see how it's like a similar kind of thickness. You could maybe get away with just cutting one craft foam ring. But I'm just going to glue these together. I know a lot of people like to use these strips as well. It's really up to you. If you're really experienced in making cake toppers and you would prefer to use the strips, then that's up to you. But for this design, this works really well. So I'm just gluing all of these rings together. Okay, and then I'm going to take the back piece, that's this other white piece, and I'm going to attach the next piece of acetate in the exact same way as I did to the front, just using that double-sided tape again. Okay, so next we're going to take these rings. Obviously, if you could leave things to dry a bit longer than I have here, that would be great. And we're just going to use the beacon 3-in-1 and line them up with that circle in the centre. Just flip it over and make sure that it's aligned, and then set it aside to dry for a little while. Coming back to the front, we're going to add all of these little front parts that we did first. So we're going to add the bunny first. And I'm going to use this double-sided foam tape again. Okay. Next, I'm going to take the eggs and the Easter and just check that I'm going to get them in the right place. So Easter has a slight outline around it. And the eggs, they sit right on the edge. So I'm going to just use glue on those. It's always handy to just layer everything up and you can see how it's going to look. So if you see, it sits behind the word Easter, and the egg on this left hand side just aligns on the edge of the cake topper there. Okay, for Easter, because the grass has like the foam behind it, what I'm going to do is add foam to this white area, and then I'll add glue just along the top edge of the word Easter to attach it to the bunny and the eggs. Okay, so I have my foam dots in place. I'm just going to go, as I said, around this top edge of the word Easter. There we go. This is to make sure that it's sort of at a similar level because of the grass being more of a 3D effect because of that foam tape. But obviously, if you're just putting it all together with glue, there's no need to do this. It's just to make it look kind of even. Next, I'm going to attach these gorgeous little butterflies, and I like to attach them just on one side, just using one wing, and that's for the area that you can still see, the white area on the front. I'll just show you now. I put them on like that. And then you can sort of bend the wing up a little bit. Again, another little 3D effect. Okay, so this is basically our front is done. So moving on to the back with the ring. This is my mix of beads and sequins which we're going to put in here. But before we do that, I'm going to take some skewers. I'm using wooden skewers here. Mine are a little bit long for this cake topper, but it's all I've got on hand at the moment. And I just want to place them sort of like that. Make sure they're a similar distance from the edges. And I use the Beacon 3-in-1 to just put them in place. Again, if you could leave them to dry for a while, that would be great. And then the next step is to add more of the foam tape and foam dots to make sure that this area is all going to be like a similar height. So I'm just going to put it all over the back. Just avoid putting any in the ring area in the center. Okay, take the back off all of them. And then we're going to add our mix of beads and sequins. It's important to take all of these little sticky parts off because you don't want to be moving this back part much until you've got it all put together. Okay, so that's the beads added, and the next step is to add glue onto the back of these skewers and then around the ring. You just need to be careful not to lift it in any way, because obviously we don't want beads in that ring area because that might make more of them escape, and we don't want that. Okay, we're ready to put the front onto the back now. So we just need to align them up. There we go. And then just basically press them together. And if you could leave them to dry for a while, that would be great. As I'm just doing this as a demo, I will show you that it's going to work and everything. But I think if you could leave it overnight to dry, that would be great. There we go. There's our finished topper. As I said, just squeeze all around these edges, particularly where those rings are, to try and keep the beads inside. That's the back. Okay, and that's our finished topper. Actually, guys, I just had a thought. There is a slight difference on this one compared to the one I made a year ago, and that's that I just added some little diamonds on that one and a bow. It's basically just a piece of ribbon that I made into a bow and I glued it on. But those are the only difference. If you wish to add those, you can. I hope the tutorial was helpful. Please follow and subscribe. Thanks now. Bye.